Hello all, this is Dr. Dave Maslach talking to you about reciprocity.com. The E is written with 3, and in this particular video I want to talk to you about whether you should keep your ideas secret and lessons learned for academics, innovators, and entrepreneurs. So if you don't know me, I'm an associate professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship, and I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There are so many people that help me out that I want to pay the favor forward and help you out. So this problem, in terms of disclosing a particular idea that you have, it is really well known in the innovation literature. And we've been grappling with this kind of thing for a long time. So first of all, I want to point out that this is not, there's going to be no citations, there's no tests or anything like that. I'm not going to take a deep dive into anything like that. And a lot of this is actually just sort of thinking about my own personal ideas and how to actually deal with this stuff. So with that, this idea that we have to disclose ideas or think about ideas is a real fundamental problem that we have, right? So we are faced with, I think there's 2 reasons why people don't like to disclose ideas. The first reason is they think their idea is bad. And they think people are going to make fun of their idea. This is something I personally struggle with a lot. And it is something that it's more based on, deep down insecurities about how other people are perceiving you. It's based on sort of this judgment that you think that other people are thinking of you. And often you really have some great reasons why you think like that. We all have these experiences when we're 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, or even when you're 25 or 30 or 40 years old, where you disclose something, you talk about something, and people look at you and they think that you're really silly, or, they start making fun of you, or they think that that's a really, poor comment or something along those lines. That is a real true thing that we all deal with. And so a lot of us are filtering or thinking about what we truly want to think about when we are having a discussion with somebody. So what you often have to do in terms of disclosing ideas, you have to work on disregarding what other people think about you. That's sort of a fundamental thing when you are thinking about ideas, is you really have to work on knowing that the idea that you actually have is not necessarily representative of you, but it is a representation of the idea that you're working on. And that's a really hard thing to sort of tease apart, that you're fundamentally different than that particular idea. Your idea that you have is a raw thought. There is really nothing there other than just a raw thought. We all have these sort of random things that come into our head, and they often should be disclosed. You often should talk about them, and we hold it back because we're afraid of what people are thinking about. I want to reassure you that if you have an experience, a bad experience with somebody, and they trounce on you, or they say that's a stupid idea, they made fun of you in the past, it is not you. It is them that have the issues. They are dealing with a lot of stuff up here and in here. What kind of an awful person does that to somebody, like trounces on them for having an idea? Like that is ridiculous. You need to realize that you are a complete and amazing person. Deep down inside, you are fundamentally a good person, and there's nothing in terms of malintent with what you're trying to do, or malfeasance with what you're trying to do. You're just disclosing an idea. So first of all, really think about that. It's something that we all really struggle with, particularly in academia, where we have this sort of competitive thing, right? That we have to have a smarter idea than somebody else, or trounce on somebody else's thing that they think is like not that great, or we all have those thoughts and we all think about those things. So you have to work on that deep down inside, that idea is not you, it is the particular idea, and it's raw. It's always raw. Everything that you ever work on is going to be not a good idea, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to sort of perfect an idea or get it to a better state of clarity than it currently is right now. It takes a lot of work. We have to realize that there is a lot of effort. that goes on behind the scenes. So the second reason that people keep their ideas disclosed or not disclosed or hiding their ideas is because they don't want to disclose the idea because somebody is going to steal that particular idea. So this is in the domain of innovation, and particularly within the domain of innovation, where lots of people have looked at this. Lawyers like to look at this. This is kind of the central sort of artifact or central reason why we have patents, for example. The whole patenting office is to encourage people to disclose ideas. That's why we have patents, is to not to hold back ideas, but to ensure that people are actually disclosing them in kind of a systematic fashion, right? So patent lawyers love this sort of thing. And there is sometimes a culture, depending on where you are, of not disclosing ideas, where you have NDAs, non-disclosure agreements about particular ideas. You really have to be careful with what you're talking about. And a lot of tech companies, for example, they might think about that. But for everyday people, you often have to sort of think about, if I'm going to disclose this idea, or you're an academic, or you're just starting out with an innovation, or you're just starting out as an entrepreneur, you're thinking, if I disclose this idea, is somebody going to steal that particular idea and run with it? This happens in organizations all the time, where you might have a great idea within the organization and somebody is going to steal that particular thing and run with it and say it's their own. You have to sort of be careful with how you disclose or what you think about, because good ideas do get imitated. Good ideas do get stolen from other people. They're going to come in and actually take those ideas. That's why we have lawyers, is that this is a very real thing that actually happens. And in particularly, if you're low status or you don't have sort of any way to come back and disclose that is your idea, maybe you don't have the resources, for example. There's a great movie about that, about the windshield wipers, and I'm blanking on that. I think it was the Ford Motor Company actually stole the, not stole. I'm not gonna. They appropriated some of the knowledge, and there was a long debate, a long court case about the windshield wipers. I'm blanking on it. It might not be the Ford Motor Company. Hey, if Ford is watching this, hey, that's cool. It's awesome. I'm not trying to trounce on you in any sort of way. So they're a great organization. It just sometimes this kind of stuff happens. So what I want you to do, Spark of Genius, I think it was called. Flash of Genius, that's what it's called. So what I want you to think about is that this is a real thing that happens. But I want you to also think about, in terms of disclosing ideas, is really working on what you're trying to do when you disclose ideas. So there is some downsides to it, and we all struggle with disclosing ideas. However, from my perspective, and what I would tend to do at this moment, what I've sort of trained myself to do, and it's always difficult to do this kind of stuff, right? You need to get the idea, and you need to work on the idea until it's attractive to other people. And the only way that you can get an idea to the point where it's attractive to other people is to disclose it to other people. And so that's sort of the fundamental thing to get your idea to diffuse in a marketplace or get it shared with other people, is you have to share unattractive ideas no matter at what particular stage. And so the quicker you can kind of do that, or you get to a certain point where you work on it. And so that's kind of the sort of second point I wanted to talk about, is you want to get to a point where you have a coherent idea-ish, but you want to be able to disclose it to other people. But the trick is to figure out who you want to disclose it to, right? So the market for ideas that we have, you have to be careful on who you disclose that particular idea to, and really think about who you want to disclose it with. And really the biggest thing is to think about is, do you trust that other person that they are going to do the thing that they're going to be working on? So ultimately, you do want your ideas to matter in the workplace. You want them to have an impact, and the way that they do have an impact is that your ideas do resonate with other people and they do run with those ideas, but you want those ideas to sort of come back to you and that people recognize you for the thing that you're actually doing. That's fundamentally the problem that you want to think about, is like, how are you going to get recognized for that particular idea that you're working on, and that other people are going to springboard off your particular thing. So you want to work as part of the bigger puzzle of that particular thing. So sometimes it's actually good in academia, even in kind of, an innovative environment like an organization, to disclose ideas, because you can get people to springboard off of them. But you have to be in an environment where you can be targeted as the person that actually created that particular idea, because you just fundamentally want to get credit for it. So that's an important thing to think about, is you need to work an idea and disclose it to other people, to a broader audience, and to get it to the point where it's actually acceptable by the broader audience. So we got kind of this paradox that we have to work with, right? And it's kind of a fundamental paradox that we have with knowledge, is that once knowledge gets, and this is Kenneth Arrow who actually talked about this, who's a famous economist. Once you disclose ideas, is that it is sort of available to all. It's easy to adopt that thing, but you have to be the one that's sharing that. I'm going to get it all wrong, so I'm not going to go there. But there's a famous sort of paradox with knowledge. So with that, I want you to sort of think about, rather than the ideas of sharing knowledge, and sort of getting your ideas stolen, I want you to take a step back and think about what kind of person you want to be known for in the future. There are going to be jerks out there. There's going to be people that are going to take your ideas. It's going to happen to you all the time, particularly if you're relatively sharp and you have great ideas. And people are not going to give you credit for that particular idea, right? So you have to fundamentally think about, what kind of person do you want to be in life? And so that's why it's really important, if you are actually on the sort of developing your own ideas, whatever that might look like, to really think about giving credit to as many people as you possibly can. It does not hurt, if you're an academic, to put in acknowledgments, for example, of people that helped you along the way. If you're an innovator, to disclose the places where you got those particular ideas from, because you want to be open and honest at the end of the day where these ideas all come from, right? So that's a really important thing to think about, is what kind of person you want to be. What's your identity going to be? At the immediate time, people are going to do that kind of stuff to you in the short run. Maybe the short run is 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. But you want to get to the point where in 30 years, you're really happy with yourself and how you actually handled the situation. So sometimes you have to just shrug this stuff off and kind of work with what's going on. The other thing that I want you to sort of acknowledge and think about is that the lessons that we learn in life, and the lessons in terms of sharpening idea, actually come with the execution of that particular idea. There's many sort of layers and complexities that we have with each individual idea that we actually work on. And the more that we disclose and the more that we execute on the idea and work through it, the more richer of a story you're going to have, and the more the better that people are going to be well received to that particular idea. So you have to really think about, what kind of person you want to be fundamentally, and then as well, what kind of lessons do you want to get in life fundamentally? So that's why I'm really open on this channel, on this YouTube channel. I know that people are probably going to steal a lot of this stuff. I'm not going to get a lot of credit for it. Definitely not getting any credit for it in terms of helping you out. And, 500,000 people have watched this YouTube channel at this point. And to get credit for helping people out, I don't, at this moment, whatever. But if I know that somebody has advanced from this YouTube channel, that's fantastic. I think that's really cool to see that. But you have to have that sort of attitude that, I'm just doing this just because, and really have a lot of fun with what you're trying to do and work at it. I know you can't eat just because, and just to do things just for the heck of it. I know that's a really important thing. But in the long run, you should set your life up in the long run where you can freely disclose things and be okay with freely disclosing things to get to the point where it's going to come back and help you in the very long run, right? So you want to set your life up in such a way that maybe you have an income stream or a revenue stream that is much more guaranteed, that doesn't depend on a lot of this kind of stuff. But at the same time, that you can freely disclose, to be the person that you want to be in life. That's an important lesson to sort of take away, is you have to fundamentally think about, who are you going to be? In 30 years, do you want to be the person that created this really cool thing and took and appropriated all the value from that particular thing? Or were you a person that was a piece of the puzzle, a small piece of the puzzle, but created many different people to go out and do all sorts of crazy things? And then, in 30 years, maybe somebody's going to be like, hey, I really benefited from that particular individual. I'm just going to give them a shout out. So you have to fundamentally think about who you want to be as an individual and as an organization going forward, and really work on that. That's a fundamental thing that I think is important for you to work on. And, the lawyers are going to get involved and all that kind of stuff. Crazy stuff's going to happen for sure. But you also have to go into it thinking about, what is your identity? How are you going to handle all of these situations in terms of processing this? So that's all I want to talk about today. Hopefully you learned a little bit about this in terms of, whether you should keep your ideas secret. I don't know. It's really a personal choice for you in terms of keeping your ideas secret. But, if you're holding back because of something that people say, or you're afraid of what people say, really work on disregarding what other people say about you. You have to be you. And the second thing, if you're afraid of people stealing your ideas, they're going to steal your ideas no matter what you do and how you treat your life. It's just going to happen. It's just a part of life, particularly if you're a sharp individual that likes to help. So with that, enjoy the video, and I will see you on the next one. Oh, if you like this one, give me a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the YouTube channel and let other people know about it. All right, take care. Bye.